All right, we're almost out of time, but let's do a quick Tickety Boo news. So I made this speech in Silicon Valley, and it was really interesting because it was a different speech than I usually make. I go and I talk about the culture in terms of big culture, in terms of novels, in terms of movies, TV, and comedy, and the news, and all the things, the ways the left basically infiltrates our world and eats the moral ground out from under our feet. But this time I just talked about something else. I talked about personal culture, the way the culture affects you in your life by moving what's called the Overton window, which is the window of acceptable discourse, of things you're willing to talk about. And one joke I make in almost every speech is I talk about the fact that there is no film in which a valiant, brave businessman brings wealth and jobs to a community in spite of the evil EPA environmentalist who tries to stop him with the full force of government. And every time I make that joke, people laugh because the idea of such a movie is outlandish. And I point out it is the plot of Ghostbusters, essentially, the original Ghostbusters, but they would never make that movie today. And people laugh thinking, yes, that's silly. They would never make that movie. But why? But then I point out, why not? Why would they not make a movie? That is actually what happens. Businessmen do bring jobs and do bring wealth in spite of the fools and bureaucrats at the EPA who try to shut them down over tiny little things. And that the thing is, the left has used the culture to move the Overton window so that we believe all these crazy things. And I listed 6 because in Through the Looking Glass, the Queen says to Alice, I practice believing in impossible things, and sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. And so I listed 6 impossible things that the left expects you to believe that make no sense. Things like that there's no inherent difference between men and women. Things like we shouldn't be racist because all races are essentially the same, but we should support diversity because all races are essentially different. Things that make no internal sense and don't describe the world as it is. Islam is the religion of peace, which I always love because the only people who ever say that Islam is the religion of peace are people who are being shot at by Muslims. You know, they say, yes, but they're not doing it because it's their belief system. They're doing it because of something I did. You know, it's like they're not grown up adults with their own philosophy and motives. So I talked about this and I started to compare it, and I did this a little bit. I brought this up when I was talking to Jonah yesterday. I started to compare it to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I don't know if you guys remember One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's about a madhouse. The novel by Ken Kesey is wonderful. The movie, I think, won the Academy Award, certainly one of Jack Nicholson's great performances. But I didn't like the movie as much as I like the book. The book is brilliant. And it's about a madhouse where these men are in this madhouse. Some of them are committed, but some of them can leave. But they stay there hiding from the world, and their life is dominated by Nurse Ratched. And Nurse Ratched is the agent of what one of the characters calls the Combine, which is the culture. The Combine is the culture. And they all look at her as if she is a loving mother. They call her the big nurse. They think of her as a kindly, wonderful female maternal presence who takes care of them. But in fact, she is surrounding them with this cloud of rules and self-doubt and self-hatred that castrates them, basically. It takes away their manhood. It takes away their freedom. And her rule is finally destroyed by Randall Patrick McMurphy, who is a complete lout. He is a brawling, obscene, vulgar, violent, thoroughly objectionable guy who comes in and breaks the soft tyranny of Nurse Ratched. And I said, that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is Randall Patrick McMurphy. The other guy he reminds me of, and I hate to compare it, but I have to, is Steve Everett in my novel True Crime, who is such a bad guy, such a obscene, poorly behaved, rude loudmouth that he can see through the political correctness to the truth of solving a crime. And these are the characters that I've been thinking about, and obviously people have been thinking about, writers and artists have been thinking about for a long time. And Donald Trump is that guy, and is a morally complex thing to deal with such a man, because Randall Patrick McMurphy in the real world would be a guy you'd want in prison. He's a guy who beats people up. He is, a lout and a drunk and all these things that that you might not like if you met him, but he is the right man for a job in a madhouse. The left's culture has turned America to a certain extent into a madhouse. When you can pick up newspapers and read that if you don't date a woman who has a penis, you are a bigot, you know you're dealing with insanity. When you can go to a college and the liberals have created dormitories for blacks only, segregated dormitories, you know you are in a madhouse. And I think that the people who cannot stand Donald Trump, who still can't accept him, who still won't get used to his offbeatness and his craziness, are not understanding how insane the culture has become. And they have bought in to a certain extent to that culture. And I just think, I'm starting to feel that for however long Donald Trump is with us, he may have done a very, very good thing. He may have freed us a little bit from this Nurse Ratched culture that was smothering us. And if anybody ever looked like Nurse Ratched, it was Hillary Clinton. All right. Who we got tomorrow? Tomorrow is the end. Oh my gosh, the end of the week. And we've got Christian Toto's coming on to talk about the movies and the Golden Globe Awards. And we will talk about that and many other things. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is the Andrew Klavan Show. Now, I was in a plane. Did we get a Christmas song? Oh, we didn't. I will sing chestnuts roasting on. Never mind. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, hooray, hurrah. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling, executive producer Jeremy Boring, senior producer Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. Technical producer, Austin Stevens. Edited by Alex Zingaro. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. And our animations are by Cynthia Angulo and Jacob Jackson. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2017.